Many places in the back of the room.
There, come around and have a seat. Thank you.
Whoa!
I'm Paul Sanderson.
Go over your toe.
So they,
How do I tap?
Ten more days, I hope. I see the surgeon on April 12th. I know.
So,
That's what it was supposed to be March 18th, and when I went on March 18th, they did another X-ray then, he said another month. So,
I'll probably find out tomorrow.
fingers crossed that he says, yes, you're good.
Well, you don't want to push it. You want to have to go to the city.
This has been since,
You're right. Thank you. You know Craig? You've met him at the door of the house.
mm-hmm. Oh,
This is what he decided today. Because I responded saying, yeah.
and you had our contact on
any contract signed for the board between now and then.
because he's a legislator.
Well, what's going to happen? I read the article in the newspaper. Yeah, so, exactly, it doesn't. Right.
Our tax
dollars at work.
Or not.
Where was it?
Basically,
I listened to that Senate hearing the other day.
with each person in finance.
oh, I know. You do realize
You're right.
that the hearings aren't really hearings. It's a whole kabuki dance that they put together ahead of time.
Of course.
So it's the behind the scenes stuff that you don't see.
Well, I started laughing when Mark said.
I probably have her in mind too.
Oh, God.
I spent all day looking for
Oh,
it.
I tell you.
Just plain incorrect.
Well, we don't look at.
Yep.
Just after shaking my head.
There's a grants.
I started it.
General fund. We go through that. Give you a general calculated by where it is the expenses were. I noticed that down here you've got the biggest part going to the school. This shows you what's going on. So if everyone to come in during the day, work who's over with Karen, go with these brush and applications.
Okay, the recorder is on. The recorder is on, we're good. Whenever.
Oh, they're confused.
Sure. Yeah. So we can make, we were told, our instructions were to make decisions only on what we see. Things that the fire and safety, they should be the same idea. You know, when she gets going in this whole thing, you'll be able to go through here and see what's going on. That's right. It should be a reflection of where the economy is.
That's the packet from Paul this morning, from Mindy
Where
Messer.
we think it's good. Okay. So the others is optimistic.
Yeah. We have information during the meeting. Help.
Okay.
We did have our meetings at 4 today.
That's right, there was a,
Yes.
yeah, because I was
Up there.
busy.
Mm-hmm.
Had a big presentation.
Ah.
Okay, good.
Oh, well, that's right. Today was the HB1.
Yeah. Was that the 10:30 meeting today?
Yes.
I did have that. I thought that was going to be moved or some meeting. I might be talking about the task force itself, that task
Well,
force.
it started on then, and then it was moved, then it was moved back.
But I needed to be covered
I was
anyway.
gonna go to that, but I saw it got moved to a day I couldn't go, but I was gonna move back to the.
Yeah, it was getting bounced around and.
And we weren't the ones organizing the meeting or
Right.
being updated.
So
That was-
we'll give you a whole report.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay, I guess everybody's here, so we can start a little bit early here. It's 6:58, April 3rd, and I'll bring the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order, starting with a roll call from my right.
Paul Sanderson?
Jim Ralston, Chester Droppy.
Paul Morgan,
Chip Huzzy.
and we have a quorum, and the meeting is being recorded. First, I'd like to welcome the new members, newly elected members to the board, Chester Droppy and Chip Huzzy. Congratulate them on their campaigns, and I want to say that I appreciate their willingness to step up to the plate and volunteer with what sometimes might seem like a thankless job. But understand that it also has its rewards, and look forward to working with both of them. Thank you for doing that. I would also like to mention that due to the ambiguity surrounding the past election on the part of the Secretary of State's office, I think it wise to have roll call votes on any motions made at this particular time, so the state can get its ducks in order, so to speak.
And I have one update on that, is that I sent an email today to DRA so that I could get some clarification as far as signing the MS2, the Report of Appropriations Actually Voted, which is the title of it. DRA responded and said, yes, sign it, go about your business. There are political actions being taken to resolve this.
Okay.
And that was from Michelle Clark, who is our liaison with DRA.
All righty. The first course of business is the reorganization of the board, where we appoint the chairman and vice chairman and then assign liaisons to the various boards, committees, and departments. So I will start by asking the members of the board here to make motions for chair.
I'd like to nominate Vaughn Morgan to be chair for the ensuing year.
Second.
Roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call. Chip Huzzy, yes.
Yes.
Jim Ralston, yes.
And Sanderson, yes.
Okay, I just want to let you know that I did ask Paul if he would step up, but he just has such a busy schedule here that he didn't think he could do it.
Well, when we talked about it, every time the town office is open, I'm in Concord. Whereas, and so your availability is so helpful to be able to resolve things during the week, so I think that would help.
And I also asked Jim, and he said, absolutely not. But he said he would be willing to step up as vice chair, so I will humbly accept the nomination. Now I'd like to ask for a nomination for vice chair.
With that in mind, I'd like to nominate Jim Ralston to be vice chair of the board.
And I would second that nomination. Roll call.
Chip Huzzy, yes.
Chester Droppy, yes.
Sanderson, yes.
Okay. Jim, welcome
Yes.
as vice chair. All right, I'm going to move on to the assignment of liaisons to the various departments, boards, and committees. I did prepare something, just, to hand out, to give you my thoughts on this, who I think would be suited very well for some of these. And I want to pass these out to you. Let's see. And you can just peruse them, and then I'll entertain your thoughts and comments on them. This will give you an idea of the different committees that we need to liaison to.
Well, I'd like to throw a hat in here,
Go ahead.
because I've got, when I left planning, I left a lot on the table for future future ordinances, and I'd like to be the liaison on the planning board.
Okay. One of the reasons that I didn't pick you for liaison to the planning board was because, as it stands, if you were liaison, we would have a selectman's position on the planning board. We would have your wife would be, you know, she's on the
She's the secretary of the board.
secretary to the board, so
Yeah.
I,
No, she's
So
secretary
you
to
have
all
to-
boards, actually, so.
so you'd have three, I think you'd have three positions there, which would probably, you know, to me, I think that would make some of the townspeople uncomfortable about that. I could be wrong with that. That was
Well,
just my thought on it.
Yeah, as I said, she is the secretary of the board. All she does is record the minutes. She's not a voting member. As a selectman, I like to finish off what I started last year.
And that's not to say that you know, you can't attend the meetings and, you know, and voice your opinions on it. That's just my thought. I'm open to any other comments on this.
Well, I have to say, I have the same sort of concerns that as a selectman, you'd be directly supervising your spouse.
Well, actually, no, because she's Karen's boss. Karen's her boss.
Yeah, except you're the boss of everyone here, along with all of us.
Well, that's gonna happen no matter what board we sit on. If you think about it, because she does budget, she does conservation, she does selectmen.
Yeah.
The only one is rec.
I suppose.
Well, again, I would say that, you know, you could attend the planning board meetings and definitely put your, you know, your thoughts on board with that. It's
Well,
just that three position thing was just a
Yeah.
little strong. I
The other
thought.
thing too is, obviously, not everyone can make every meeting. And so we can have a primary person sitting on the board, and we can have the person from this board that backs up that person. And so, I guess there really needs to be two of us, you know, two members of this particular board working with the planning board, especially as we go forward this year with some of the things you'll hear about with water tonight. And so it's the sort of situation where one person just has to be the voting member, the other person the alternate. Okay, and I guess it's just going to be a question for our board as a whole, what we think is the right thing to do in that regard. What will happen with you on conservation?
That I just read about. A selectman can be appointed, but he can't vote until someone's not there, or I think it's a tie vote.
And of course, as the Board of Selectmen, what we do is anytime the Conservation Commission would come forward looking to spend money from a conservation fund, the selectmen supervise that. So, what do you think you should do with regard to conservation?
Well, hopefully we can still build it. Kind of running low on membership.
Well, exactly, that we'd like to go to the community and find some more people. Same as with recreation, right?
But I think, again, conservation, if the selectman was sitting on it, has some legitimacy that hasn't had in the past.
Certainly a more direct line of communication. Well, what do our other three folks think?
Well, you know, when I did this up, I looked at Chester because he's got children in the school, and I think he would do very well in the rec department. And the rec department's going through some changes, as we all know, some major changes. And I think he'd be good working with them and handling that situation.
Is that something you'd be comfortable with?
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Okay, well, let's take something we agree with then. And I'd like to nominate Chester Jabraki to be our liaison to recreation.
Second.
Okay, I'll have a roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. So that's unanimous. Thank you, Chet. Thank you.
Just to continue on, Chip, with one other thing. I had been the liaison to the Budget Committee last year. And I would like to have someone else do that because I'd like someone else to know how to do it.
You know the town very well. And
I do know the bodies are there.
That's the only thing you haven't been, a cemetery trustee. it isn't that I haven't had any problem with the budget committee, we didn't. I thought we had a very successful time this year. But I think it's important, you know, that for someone like me, midway through my final term, someone else needs to learn how to do all this.
I don't like doing budget, because what is it, 6 weeks basically, you're going balls to the wall.
It is 6 weeks with the budget committee, you'll find here another 6 weeks. Which is part of the learning process, you know, to go through as to how all of it's built and all of the different decisions that are made during the year. So,
Well, on the planning board appointment, I just feel that Paul, with his legal knowledge, would be the wise choice for that. He's very up on all of the water issues that we've been discussing for the last 8 months or more. And I guess that's why I would like to see him on that particular board.
yeah. And not in any way competitive to your thoughts here, Chip, but that board's gonna need 2. And so the work that you have done with CIP, the work that you do through conservation, and the work that you have done as a member there, that's all continuing of value. So this is just who gets to go to the meeting and do the vote. And if that person's not available, then the other person goes and has to do it. So I'm not in any way thinking that either one of us should be excluded from these processes. Lord knows it's gonna be enough for 2 or more of us to get done during this next year, as you'll hear from the report tonight.
What do you think?
Well, I have no problem doing the budget.
Okay. And maintenance supervisor, would you be willing to be the liaison for the maintenance supervisor?
Sure.
Would you?
I got a list this long.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to nominate Chip for the budget committee.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And for the maintenance supervisor also.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. All right, I've been doing the police department, the fire department for a long time, and I don't mind handling them. We have a good rapport together, so I will.
Yeah, yes, and I would like to not only move it, but also speak in favor of that, because of the fact this year with the fire department, as we start to bring on permanent people, that's gonna be an issue working with Ralph to get all of those systems correctly in place. Also, Ralph himself is saying he's trying to transition, and so your knowledge and help in that regard, moving that forward, would be very much of a help.
Okay. All right, entertain a motion.
I move that Vaughn Morgan be the representative for police department and fire department.
The motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. For the building inspector and library, and town administrator. I have put Jim down for those. I think Jim would do a great job with all of those. He's been working with the library for quite some time now too, so if anybody have any thoughts on that?
I certainly would like to speak in favor of that, because Jim, you're being around town during the day, you're available. Those are the people who need the assistance during the day. I think you'd be a great liaison for all of those things.
Any other comments?
No, I think we're
Okay, good. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved as to Jim Ralston serving in those roles.
All in favor?
Second.
Okay. And Paul Sanderson on the planning board.
You gotta
And,
finish that motion.
Hmm?
You gotta finish the motion.
oh.
All those in favor, roll
Oh,
call.
I thought I said that.
Oh, you forgot the second too.
Oh, I forgot, I'm sorry.
We're good, we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right, I know these people out here about to go to sleep, so I want to get
We
there.
have Planning board and CIP left.
And the planning board and CIP, for Paul Sanderson. They kind of go hand in hand together, so. Any comments on that?
I move that Paul Sanderson be the representative and Chip be the backup.
All right. Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I
Okay.
can't second Mary.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. That covers them all, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, we don't have any public hearings, so we do have some appointments. We have our treasurer, Tina Miles.
So, I just wanted to give you an update on a few items for banking, so that in your discussions or if the community approaches you, you know where I'm at on that. Provident Bank approached me on some items that were free to the town because of our balances. And so I'm working with Karen and Marge and the staff on them. But the one that I feel is really important, so I just wanted you to know, but we're still working out the details with the bank, is the fraud protection. So what that is it's called Positive Pay. I'm not sure if you're aware of it through your businesses or anything. And what it is whenever a manifest is created, somebody in the office, Liz, would provide a file that we would upload to the bank once I sign the checks. And in that file is the check number, the date of the check, the amount of the check, and who it's to, the vendor. And so no check would pass through the Greenland accounts, any of the accounts, unless it's on this list that we send them. So in essence, Liz would create the file, and then after I sign the checks, I would upload it the night I sign the checks. So it creates a protection for the town. So we're working on implementing that, and I wanted you to know about that.
And I think one of the great points on that is, like, say a check has been written for $1,000 and the vendor tries to change it to a 7, the bank would catch it because it didn't match that manifest. Or they changed the vendor's name.
Yeah.
Could
And
we
one
take-
of the things,
Could we take just a minute and explain to Check what manifests are and how they work?
Oh,
for the
they're these
university?
things.
yeah, manifests are your, oh, you want?
No, it's the list of checks, who they are to and how much they're for. And so the bank would then get a copy of that in addition to the signed checks as they went through, and it
They
would,
match them.
they'd match.
I have a handout for you, and I want to give it to you now, because you might be reading it and not listening. So, anyways, so we're working on that. One of the big things they found the banking industry since about 2012, with the photocopiers and the printers and all, people can like take a copy of your check and they can recreate it, and it looks just like it came from the town. And then they can make it out to whatever vendor they want. So if they basically told us if we don't enroll in the program, if that happens to the town, they won't cover us on the check. So we would be out whatever the money is. So I think it's a good
problem
program.
that's coming closer. It was already been found in Newburyport to happen.
Yes, yeah. I work for the city of Portsmouth, and we use it there. We've been using it since the 1st of January. It's pretty simple. It's once you get into it and all the setup is there, and there will be time for setup and the learning curve and all. It's really no more than like 5 minutes with both of us involved. It shouldn't take us very long. I mean, it's just click the button, put in your date range or your check range, and then make the file, and then I would just send it up after that. So hopefully after the learning curve and we get the setup, the bank's willing to come in and work with everyone who would be doing that. So that is one of the items. The other item is they're going to be bringing in, we're going to do, you know when you go in the bank and they read your checks? Well, we can have one of those here. And I think it's important here, and I would do that at night, on a weekend, or when we have times that we have millions of dollars, like Marge will call me and give me a heads up, you know, you have 1.3 million in tax money. I can come in and read the checks, and it's same day deposit. So they're not sitting in the bank till Monday, or, you know, I'm not carrying them around in my bag to go to the bank and all. So I think it's important when there's big deposits, obviously cash, still have to take to the bank, but so that you might see a little piece of equipment on the desk in there eventually. So we're working that out.
I thought you meant a check scanner.
It's a little check scanner, but it goes immediately into the bank. So
Okay.
it hooks into the computer, which I have to log into the bank to that program.
At home, we do it on an iPhone. Here, you have more. Right.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing is, I'm working with the staff, just so you're aware, on them being able to, who needs view access on some of the accounts, so that if I'm not available, or they just want to make sure a deposit is made in, or someone calls Marge and, their check's gonna bounce, she can look to see, so there's not duplicate payments. So that, hopefully, by the end of this week, will be implemented, and they're gonna come in and show everyone how to log in. They can view any of the, well, not any of the accounts that
Are
each one has
appropriate.
said,
Yeah.
appropriate for their job. So we will have that implemented hopefully by the end of the week. I've been in touch with Zach at the bank who does this, so.
It's gonna really help Liz with her reconciliations.
Okay. Are there any additional charges for any of
No,
these?
all of these are free because of the balance that we carry and the amount of money that flows to Provident Bank for the town of Granite.
And they will remain free, this isn't something that will sneak up on
Nope.
us? and-
Nope, I made sure, yeah. I mean, because I said, I was surprised that the positive pay was free, only because the city of Portsmouth pays $30 a month for that. So I was like, But they use Citizens Bank.
Yeah.
So, and this is Provident. Provident also has another program, which is really nice, and I'm not sure who decided, if it was you, Jim, that went to Provident. They actually, FDIC only covers, what is it, like $250,000 or $500,000? Well, they are in another program that all the money is covered with Provident.
Right.
So if something should happen, the bank closes, folds, the town would not be out any money.
Right, it's separately collateralized
Mhm.
with a Boston bank.
Yeah, they're out of Massachusetts,
All right.
which is a nice program. It was good to hear that. They gave me a whole write-up on that, so. But anyways, so I just wanted to kind of keep you up to date on kind of what's going on with the treasurer position and how, I'm trying to make sure that we utilize whatever the bank is offering for free and, of course, if any other programs, but keeping in touch with the staff to make sure, their needs are met if they have something they need from me, which I think the view access will help with them, help all of them, so,
Okay. Good.
That's it. That's all I just wanted to let you
Do you
know.
have any?
Tina, when are they coming in?
I haven't set the date for them to come in. I'm just working
Give
with.
us a couple.
Oh,
of days.
absolutely, plenty of time. So, because I know not everyone's here every day,
Yeah,
so, yeah, oh yeah, we'll work on that. I mean, I'm hoping by the end of the week. That doesn't mean they're gonna be in here by the end of the week. Would have to do with each
We'll
of your
maybe have a
schedules.
date by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Next week would be better,
Okay,
to be
sure,
honest.
okay, yep, no
Thank
problem. So here's some little bit about positive pay, through the bank, and if you have any questions, please feel
Well,
free.
I just want to thank you for being so proactive.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I think it's important, for us to be that way and be digital and everyone have that access. Everything's transparent as far as I'm concerned with what I do. So if anyone has any questions or, if anyone on the board, if you feel that anyone else needs access to any of these accounts, feel free to let me know.
Yeah,
Or,
right.
we can set you up.
Right, and,
Thank you, Tina.
and Chet, I would really suggest if you get a chance to go and sit down with Tina, understand how the process works and why selectmen don't sign any checks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. All right, second on the appointment road is the Weeks Library.
That is weird.
You
I'm
are
gonna,
on.
yes, I think this is like phase 3 for us now, our third time coming and talking to you about where we are, and we are in phase 2. First off, for those of you who don't know me, and it's Chet, not Chester, you go by Chet.
Chester's fine.
Well, Chet
Either
works
one.
for me
It's
then.
fine.
I'm Marcia McLaughlin, I currently chair the library trustees. This is Denise Grimsey, she's our director of the library. I'm gonna go to the trustees, Karen Mason,
Hello, nice to meet you.
Dale Rockefeller.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
And then this is our architect of record, Ron Lamar, he's with
Hey, Ron.
LaValle Brensinger. I am going to turn the floor over to Ron to explain to you where we are in our current work on phase 2 of the library, which was developing conceptual drawings.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. I can speak with the board or with the projector, whichever you prefer.
Well, you've got a lot of pictures,
Okay.
so. you can
So-
go back and forth.
The phase that we're in right now is we took the planning study that we did talk about how the library is currently used and how it needs to be used in the future based on feedback from the community. And what you see here is a concept design. The idea is that we would create an addition in the back of the library, essentially not changing the streetscape and not changing the view of the library, if you will,
Actually
as you
gonna
drive
switch the lighting,
up and down.
because
Okay.
I think it would actually work better.
And what, the other thing we are attempting to do here is create the same scale as the existing library, not overpowering the library, but letting the new addition sit in the back, if you will, to become sort of a backdrop. And so if you were across the street looking at the existing library, that's what the building would look like. And then if you were on the other side of the street looking back towards the library, that's the piece that comes out. You'll see that the existing library actually has an upper level and a basement, I'm sure you all know. So we would be doing exactly the same thing with the new addition. The new addition in the back would be connected with glass. So the piece of material that goes between the old and the new would be glass, so you can see where the old is and where the new begins. And that would also have an upper level and a walkout basement there at the bottom. So how that fits is essentially putting in what you see there is the blue, which runs along the back property line and sits right behind the existing library. And then what you see over on the right-hand side is the trustees have been working closely with the school to create parking. The parking would be created and dedicated to the library, and when it would not be being used for the library, it would be used as overflow for the school. And they would work out a memo of understanding that would allow that to be built on their property for use and dedication to the library. So I think that was a pretty collaborative and strong cooperation between the school and the library in order to solve the parking problem. What that also means is just on Post Road right there, where everybody sort of comes in and parks right now and ends up having to back out onto Post Road, we could talk to the Department of Transportation about taking those parking spaces away and putting in some parallel parking for handicap, but not pulling in and backing back out onto the road. Essentially pushing the front lawn forward, if you will, and extending the sidewalk that exists now to make that sort of a safer environment. Yep.
You might want to point out where the walkway is going to be.
Oh, yep. And so then what you see here, and does this mouse work here? Yep. So what you see here is that walkway. We would create a walkway from the parking lot that kind of comes right down behind the meeting house, behind the church, into the library. And that's pretty much where everybody comes in the library right now anyway. As you know, you kind of come around the church and park there. And so basically that parking would go away, again, except maybe one or two for handicap if we wanted to keep that. But most people would be coming from the parking on the school site down the path. So basically, some people have talked about the library location right now being a great pedestrian, walkable library. And so this just adds to that. So how that works, and you can see diagrammatically, we're running the new addition right behind the existing, and the existing is the yellow. The blue is the connector, so that would be the piece between the two, and then you'd have your new addition in the back.
How much setback did you leave in the back, or were you able to achieve in the back?
We've been working with Underwood Engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and so the goal here is to meet the 5 feet. And we can, that's all, because it's a concept design, we would work that out, both that and the grading, with Underwood as we move forward.
Okay, so the goal is 5 feet.
Yeah, and the goal would be, obviously, and also there's a long line of trees there, and we would most likely be taking down the trees. But the intent there is to sort of give us enough room to build it and put it up there, and then those rock walls, and, well, not the rock walls, but the landscaping would remain as it is. So it's, it's a tight fit. I mean, we can all see that. But the thing is, and back when we had our community meetings, even down here in the parking lot of Town Hall, it was just really important that people thought that was really the best spot for the library. And so, so how this works is, well, I'm just going to skip, because this is really the entrance. And so at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there in the blue It says a reading area, and what, you've all been in the existing library, and it's such a beautiful space that what we were thinking was moving the collections out and using that space as reading area, places for people to meet, sort of tables and chairs, if you will, computer tables, so that that entire space right there really becomes the living room, Greenland's living room, where lots of social activities can take place. What you'll notice is as you come in, nothing touches the existing building except for this little piece right here. Nothing touches this entire piece across here. So that when you actually come in the door, the vestibule here in the lobby, and you come across this walkway, which is going to ramp up ever so slightly, it's all handicap accessible. And as you walk by the back of the library just as it is today. So we're not cutting into it, we're not adding any weight to it, we're not taking any weight off of it, we're not messing with it, I should say. So that structurally it remains intact, architecturally it remains intact, and forever and a day you can basically walk around your existing library the way it is today, with the exception that that one piece of walkway comes in where the window is. So if you went into the library, the window right behind the circulation desk, that whole window right there that has a sill, the sill would go away and that would become a door. But the header and all of the trim around it would remain the same. And then as we go downstairs, and then in the, just to walk you through, as you come in, there's a large open space for the adult collection areas. There's an ample staff workroom and director's office. There's a teen room down on this end here. There's a stair to below and an exit stair. There's a teen librarian space. And then there's the adult collection, and then we've got meeting rooms and conference rooms that wrap the outside of the building. So essentially as you come in, it's a nice big open library with the small rooms surrounding it. So it's not walking through a maze. It's sort of what you have in terms of libraries today. And as we go downstairs, as you come down the stairs or down the elevator, because you'll notice we have an elevator to get you to these levels, you come into a common lobby area that opens to a meeting room, which is here in this area, that has its own dedicated storage and kitchenette. This room, if you lock this door here, and you lock this door here, and this door, the public is able to come down and access the meeting room when the library is closed. So that meeting room will have its own electrical system and its own mechanical system, so that on a Sunday afternoon, if the library is closed and the select board wanted to meet, or the planning board, or the budget committee, or anybody in town, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, doesn't matter, they would be able to come down and access this room. They'd access the kitchenette, they'd access the bathrooms. We're taking advantage of the downstairs of the existing library to make that restrooms and storage and mechanical space. And so that then provides you sort of a building within a building. So it's not only an investment in the library, but also an investment in community space. And then down here on the lower level, we also have the children's library, acoustically separated. The children would also have access directly to a kitchenette for their programs. They'd also be able to use the live meeting room, but they also have their program space out here. And then this door, and then this door up in the upper right-hand corner would take them outside to an outdoor space here. And so it's very simple. I think what you can see in the design is we really are building, for lack of a better term, a box. But it's an elegant box, and it's a simple to build box. And we're hoping that the simple to build is going to keep the cost down. It's going to keep the schedule down, because time is money when we do these things. And by not touching that existing library like I talked about, it really keeps it simple. So the goal here from the library has been to do something that works, because they're going to do it once, and they want to do it right, and they want to do it affordably and economically responsibly. So that's basically what we had for this evening.
Does this plan make the entire building now, the entire structure, ADA compliant?
It does.
It does?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And what you can see in the upper, down at the bottom of the screen, we're going to leave those existing steps the way they are. You never need to use those. Okay, so in other words, we have multiple two means of egress out of every level, so that you actually never need to use those stairs. However, we did talk about if you wanted to, we could raise the grades up around, because when you're standing sort of where that black arrow is, the grades are almost level with the floor, because you go down the street and then up the stairs. So we could just, by landscaping, don't build any walls or anything like that, but just landscaping, sort of bring a walkway over to that front entrance if we wanted to do that. We wouldn't need to, but we could. The intent is that with the elevator, with the entrance here, and then with the entrance around the side, the entire facility is handicap accessible, and that includes the restrooms, because right now there's that one little restroom that's not even accessible, forget about handicap accessible. And so this would give you compliant restrooms. The entire building would be brought up to code. Sprinkler system, everything.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, because I'm pro the library. I grew up in the town. I love the library.
Mhm.
Have you looked at, or will you be looking at the impact where you're expanding the parking lot from the school? That where you're going to expand it is actually a runoff from the parking lot already. And I only know this because I was there when they did the addition. I worked for SA50. Have you looked at the water impact for the residents that come back along on Portsmouth Avenue? Because when we put the school in, they got a ton of water
We did.
in the back over on Portsmouth Avenue.
Okay.
Yes. And I don't think, obviously you didn't know about that, but if you put in more of a parking lot.
You're talking about the residents off to the,
No, as you come down Post Road
yeah?
and you turn onto Portsmouth Avenue, you make the left, the residents up along the street here.
Waluski and around the corner, right down to Cemetery.
Right, to the Cemetery Lane, got a lot of water. I used to own a home there. I grew up there, my father.
And is that from surface runoff, or did they do something wrong
It's-
underground?
No, it's from surface runoff, and,
Okay.
and when we did the plans for the school, there was not supposed to be this runoff, and it's actually worse than it ever was before.
Okay.
So I'm just
Well, the
asking
good
you
news
to
is we're
keep that
building
in
some
mind.
parking, so one of the
Uh-huh.
things we could do is channel that.
Well, where
back
you've
in.
got the 25 parking spaces is actually one of the runoffs, and there's like stuff in the ground to catch some of that water.
Yeah.
For the school.
Right.
So, did you work with the school board or with the superintendent's office as well?
We worked with we've talked to the engineer, Underwood, but we've,
I would recommend that you at least speak to Mr. Catkin, because
Yeah.
he's very well, he was the project manager on that. But there has been water back on these houses, and
Okay.
it would be a shame if you put that parking lot in and they got more water, because they really had no recourse, those residents.
well, I would hope if, when we do that, it actually becomes less water. Because one of the things
We
that
thought
we,
that was gonna happen with the school.
right, well, one of the things we can do is talk to the superintendent, talk to the school, ask them what their problems are now, what they created, and let's take the opportunity to fix it. 'Cause
Now, it's a
we-
new superintendent, so you might wanna talk to old school board members, but also Mr. Catkin. He knows it, has all the plans up there, and he knows what's
So-
under that parking area that you wanna
With
put.
current codes, we're actually not allowed to bring any additional water onto anybody else's property. In other words, we have to contain it within our property. So when we do the parking right there, we not only would be containing all of the water runoff from that black asphalt, which is the impervious surface, but we can certainly talk to them about maybe correcting some things.
Yeah.
On our property, it's exactly the same thing at the library. As we regrade that area, we have to have everything infiltrate on site. We're not, by code, DES, New Hampshire DES, is certainly not going to allow us to have excess water from our site running across somebody else's property. That's kind of a no-no.
It's just a huge runoff from there, so like if you went up to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And you stood at the end of the cemetery, right there where the graves are, and you look down Cemetery Road, that's the whole runoff from that side, so I just wanna make sure you understand that.
Well, thank you.
Maybe
No, I
keep that in
appreciate
mind,
that. I will, absolutely,
Those
thank you.
residents will be pretty upset.
Just to add on to that, Tina, when the Portsmouth Avenue project was done, Underwood was the engineer. And so we did a lot of study, as you remember in there, about all of the runoff in this area, so we know where the constrictions are.
Right.
And we know that there are issues that have to be corrected.
Like maybe the culvert at Cemetery Lane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
that
when I lived there, that was a big battle, and we could never get that fixed. We
Yeah,
used to get
we've already
water
fixed
all the
that.
time.
Yeah, we fixed that and piped it across Fish and Game,
Right,
and then it goes down and across
Oh, okay.
33,
okay.
So a
just
lot,
like 2 years ago.
yeah, you're right to be concerned, but Underwood has the data.
Okay.
Going along with that, one of the concerns I would have would be septic on the site, because you have such a small collection field there. I wonder if that 25 parking space area could be an alternate, septic site in the event of failure.
Okay.
And that would be something to negotiate at the time of easement. Because if it ever did fail, we'd really, really be out of luck without having an alternate site.
Okay.
That seems to be the simple place to pump it and the simple place to treat it.
Maybe we could do a pumping station with the new addition.
Yeah.
That's certainly something we absolutely can consider.
I am for the library. Not trying, I'm also a resident.
Yeah, if that could be done, and the risk of having a septic failure there were gone, that could go a long way, I think,
Okay.
towards this.
Right. Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Anybody?
Just to let everybody know, this is the concept design phase. And, you don't have to have all your comments right now, but we are gonna leave a package, it'll be on the library website, so you can access this. Oh, one thing, I was gonna also, maybe, but we did, all this is in 3 dimensions, and so you can kind of see how that all sits. You don't see the trees here, but essentially that's what they're talking about, and so there's the, oops, let's see if I can't use this. There's the glass piece that connects the two. So again, when you're even sort of coming up Post Road, you can see the old library takes the corner. You still have that corner from the old library, and then there's a glass connection. And so this is basically the scale of what we're talking about. Just keeping everything simple. Lots of daylighting into the middle of the library, and that includes the downstairs. You can see the windows there. The intent is to bring as much natural daylighting into the library as we can, and hopefully, obviously, that takes care of energy efficiencies, and as we move forward. And so that's essentially where we are, and again, it's a concept design. But once we get all the feedback, we'll bring this to a couple of different builders and see what they estimate the costs to be.
And the addition is proposed that it does not increase library staffing at all.
Right, one of the biggest things that the library asked us to do was come up with a design, and that's sort of the reason why we still have the 2 levels. They have 2 levels now, and it's designed in such a way that when you look at the plans again, as you come in the front door, when you come downstairs, this is the children's librarian. So the children's librarian has complete visual control over everything in the downstairs. And the same thing with the upstairs. As you come in the main lobby, the circulation desk is here. So you can see that the staff have complete eyes on everything that's going on when you first come in.
Ron, just for clarification, on the current front door of the library, that would not really, you said we wouldn't use those steps, that would not be a usable front door.
Right.
So that's another control point for our staff. They don't have to worry about people walking out those doors with any materials.
Yep. We can just put a simple door contact on there so that the library is aware when it opens. There's a little local alarm at the front desk that says, hey, someone's opening the door.
What are you thinking of materials for wall and roof?
The exterior, so the exterior would be brick and concrete masonry units. So the gray that you see there would be a polished CMU. It's a ground face. It's very inexpensive, but it's masonry, so it's going to last forever, and it looks like granite. And then we have the brick above, and the brick, we would either pick something that complements the red existing brick or something that actually matches it. One of the things about the brick is the library is old enough so that the mortar joints are very, very tight. And so with that, we were thinking if we got a longer Norman-sized brick, you'd get that same look in a new brick that you have in the old brick. But when it comes to that, we would be working with everybody in town to sort of just pick that perfect color. And we bring lots of samples. And then on the roof, we were thinking about an asphalt reinforced fiberglass asphalt shingle. The existing roof is slate. Very difficult to maintain. Not a lot of people out there today continue to maintain slate. But there are other materials too. There's a material that we just used recently on another project, which are metal, but they look like slate shingles. And that comes with a lifetime warranty. A little bit more expensive, but they're very, very durable materials. And then they also have another slate that's made out, or slate-like product that's made out of recycled tires. And those are very hard rubber that also last a incredibly long time. So, again, the options there based on, usually when you pay a little bit more up front, you save in the long term because there's not a lot of maintenance.
Well, it looks like a very well thought out plan so far, no doubt about it. It seems to fit into, you know, that it doesn't take away from the design of the library. So the next step is?
The next step is to get it priced
Mhm.
and then come back and talk about what it's gonna cost and then the schedule. I think, I don't wanna speak for the trustees, I think they were considering putting this on the ballot in March of 2018 for the project to go forward at that point.
Okay.
So we have essentially an entire year to sort of get people involved and get their feedback and really get a lot of momentum for the project going.
And so if there are any other concerns or thoughts that you have going forward, if you would send them to Denise.
Absolutely,
We
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments from the audience, or? No? Well, thank you very much. It was a very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You want us to keep it? Or do you want to take it?
Yes, library, the library.
We're gonna take it to basketball. It's not good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from March 20th. Has everybody, we can't count. Had a chance to go through there? Do you have any comments or anything? And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
And it's just the three of us because we're.
Right,
That's
yeah,
right,
you
yeah.
two have to
We
abstain because you weren't
abstain.
present.
Yeah.
How many count?
You were present, yes, but you're not on the right side of the table.
Okay, under old business, we have a Copley update. Karen, Paul, and I had I think, a productive meeting this morning with the city officials from Portsmouth, along with Senator Morse and two local state representatives. I think it's a meeting that opened the doors for future discussion, which I think.
It's already
just
scheduled,
makes
yeah.
it
We have a meeting scheduled for next week
worthwhile.
as well.
And just to give the public more information of what it was all about. Representative Mesmer, who's from Rye, had obtained the assistance of Senator Morse, who is the president of the New Hampshire Senate. He's actually from Salem. He is the trustee of a trust fund that the state is holding as a result of settlement with Exxon because of the additive MTBE in gasoline. So they've got $300 some odd million.
64?
Yes. And so Senator Morse came down to that particular meeting, offering the assistance of the state as we work with the city of Portsmouth to consider potential alternatives to bring municipal water to the Breakfast Hill Road neighborhood. In other words, the banker. Okay. What was so very helpful is that because we now seem to have a source of funds that we might be able to access, what we really gained today was the cooperation of the city of Portsmouth to continue discussions. No one promised anything to anyone. No one knows how we're gonna design this, how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna accomplish it, none of those details in any way. But what we have got is the next meeting scheduled for April 14th with city staff, so we can start figuring out some of these potential alternatives as to how it might work to do this.
And what's exciting, I think, on this is it's not a grant opportunity that is out there and released. It's something that we are going to be able to make a proposal to the state to get approved. So that it's not, we're not competing against the Salems and the Manchesters and everyone putting in an application that's due on this day and they're all ranked, and we don't ever seem to rise to the top without professional grant writers and all that.
Some of the factors that are really in our favor that Senator Morse identified today, they want to do projects where you can protect source water. One of the opportunities we have here, we have Greenland Well. The city of Portsmouth only owns 100 by 100 feet around their particular well, but this town owns all the land around the edge. And so by working together, we can provide a much larger protective radius and protect the quality of the Greenland Well. So that's in our favor. The next thing that he indicated was that on state roads, they no longer wanted to make improvements of state road without installing infrastructure at the same time. Breakfast Hill Road is a state road. And so
The interconnectivity, regionalization.
that the third factor was an opportunity to have water systems interconnect. Portsmouth could connect with Aquarian and could also connect with the Rye Water District. There are some issues there that have to be worked out, but the fact is there's nothing from the standpoint of engineering that would prevent the interconnection. So those three factors were three of the things that they were
Right,
looking
I'm
for.
trying to think, there was a fourth and I don't remember it.
Well, also solving known problems of contamination, which of course.
And preventing the spread of contamination.
Yes, which of course Breakfast Hill Road has that in spades. So that's why it was a positive meeting, and we thanked Representative Mesmer and Senator Morse. The third representative who was there was Representative Cushing, and he's from Hampton. And Dale is now gone, but Rennie Cushing is Dale Rockefeller's brother-in-law. And so there's a strong connection, between Greenland and Hampton, and Representative Cushing's been in the legislature a long time. So all of these were very positive. What I don't want anyone to think is that it's a done deal.
Right.
Because we're nowhere there. But we have some factors suggesting that it's an opportunity.
Right, and we did, between the city of Portsmouth and Representative Mesner, we asked that this not become a Facebook issue, because we don't want a lot of other towns trying to jump in and get this money first.
Right.
Not
She
trying.
agreed that we're not going to keep it, it's not a secret, but we don't want to
Promote it.
promote it, yeah.
Right, because as of now, there's no it.
Right.
There's only something which took us a while to accomplish, which was the meeting to agree to talk.
To get a hold of this money.
Yeah, and that's a positive thing. That's a first step. So there's that. Now, what that also means, and the reason we were talking about planning board things, okay? If there's a potential to bring a water line down all of Breakfast Hill Road for 2 miles and 200 some odd customers right now, you know what happened in other parts of our town that had water service. The first thing that happens is you no longer have to have separation between wells and septic, and the pressure to develop is strong. So what we said was at the same time that we are considering this particular improvement, we have to do better planning for that neighborhood so that we don't double, triple our development pressure and put that pressure right on the school. We have to do zoning work before this thing actually gets designed and installed. So that's why I was saying, Chip, it's gonna take 2. It's gonna take 3 to get this done. This is complicated. This is not anything that we have ever done before.
But this is a step in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had thoughts of Portsmouth just saying flat out, no, we're not gonna do a darn thing about it, but.
Right, and Portsmouth is
they're
willing,
to-
yeah.
To work with us, so.
And this does not, at this point, involve the Copley Group.
Which is positive.
Yeah, this is really more of a business opportunity with their franchise.
Yeah, oh, and the other thing that put it is economic development.
Yes. And when we talk about planning with economic development, it's not just economic development with residences. Remember, we have 50 acres that's now a brownfield.
Right.
And with this type of thing in there, we have ways that can be developed in different ways. They want to do development along the corridor with the former rail line. They want to do other development along 33, have more service in that particular area. So all of that could potentially work together. As I say, as complicated as anything we have ever looked at.
Okay,
I'm glad I could come tonight.
me too.
It's a great update.
And I haven't found any of those well depths on
Yeah,
that
I don't
list.
know, yeah.
I've been going through, but
Appreciate that.
there's none.
Can I ask what this means for the warrant article money? Do you think you'll need that? How, do you have a sense of?
Oh, yeah, we'll need that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely gonna use that. It's a little harder than we thought it would be because the city of Portsmouth has fingers that go throughout all of New England, we found out. So a lot of the people we're talking to, in fact, so far, just about everybody we talk to has a conflict of interest.
Wow.
Right, and if we don't need it all for the litigation, legal issues, we're gonna need it for the engineering
Yes,
Right.
and planning.
expertise, planning expertise.
But we are gonna put out what they call an RFQ, and, reach out to some, legal.
Attorneys. A request for qualifications to see if we can get an environmental attorney that doesn't have a conflict, let us know.
Yeah.
Because everyone we've contacted has a conflict.
Right, exactly.
It certainly would be my hope that we're using more of that money for engineering and planning and municipal finance, and less of it for litigation.
Right,
Right.
but it'll be legal reviews of the contracts and,
Mhm. Okay,
Thank you so much.
good.
And I have to excuse myself to get my babysitter home.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Good
You're
night.
welcome.
Yes. Vaughn?
Yeah.
Dennis has.
Yes,
Thank you. Dennis Malloy. And this, is this that Exxon settlement money, the MT?
Yes.
Thing? Okay, which has, a lot of money in it.
Yes.
I didn't know that was available for granting. I didn't know how they were,
Well,
and I know there was some talk in the budget today, budget meetings about some of that as well.
what Senator Morse told us
So-
today is they don't want to expend it so much as leverage it.
Okay,
The idea being that they want to create an entity very similar to LCHIP,
okay,
and that way the decisions would be made more by experts in the field and less by politicians in the future. They also wanted to have more of a continual funding mechanism.
right,
So by leveraging, they wanted to lend it rather than grant it.
right,
And that way, as the money comes back in, they hope it will grow over time.
okay. Thank you, because I didn't, just putting that out there in a grant kind of
right, well,
situation.
and
it gives-
for this project, they said that the state would grant a percentage.
Okay,
That it wouldn't necessarily just be like an SRF loan. Amherst, they've done it as a loan.
right,
But it's 5 million in to a private company who's gonna do 5 million back with interest.
right.
Um,
I knew it was a little more complex than just making,
Yes.
okay,
And 64 million of it is restricted to pollution control
Yeah.
grant
Yeah.
remedies.
I thought there were some other kinds of
Yeah,
qualifiers on doling
Yes.
out that money. Second question.
go ahead.
So is there a water source that the town can tap into to get water to this area? Because one of the things I thought I understood was we're looking for a source of water too. It's not our well that
The question was asked directly today, do you have a source?
Mhm.
The city manager said, yeah.
Of course we do.
The
Yeah.
city
We have a
engineer,
master
the
plan right
Public
up through
Works,
2020.
the Public Works Department head said, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So the answer
So the
is,
left hand and the right hand
Yeah.
need to talk to each other first.
and that is the question.
Asking the questions. Okay, because,
But I was surprised to learn that you could combine the two water sources.
Yeah,
yeah,
So, because I was under the understanding you couldn't. but-
right. And that's what I had been
Can do
told, is
it.
you couldn't.
But it's a complicated
sure it is. I
endeavor,
I
so.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. I just, okay, I think I'm kind of up to speed here with.
Right.
With, okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, now again, because this was a meeting to talk about future meetings,
Right.
that was not a promise of anything from him. But it was,
Yeah.
at least a general acknowledgement that the source was there.
And they suggested a three-way sharing, and they're gonna do a draft for us for the next meeting, so we'll see what their
Okay.
percentages they propose.
Yeah.
Great job.
It's an open door, believe me.
Great job. You moved quite a ways here, so congratulations.
And I have to thank Representative Mesmer
Oh, yeah.
and Senator Morse, they opened the door.
Yeah, yeah, they're good, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay? All righty. Next item on the agenda is the Parker driveway access.
And he requested, Mr. Gerardo called earlier today to request that the selectmen grant a 2-week extension. He called Mr. Parker. Mr. Parker has agreed to the 2-week extension.
He did agree to it?
He did.
All right.
Okay, over the next 2 weeks, gentlemen, you're about to get immersed in Class 6 roads.
Yeah, and I'll do a timeline of
Sure.
where we are.
This is an extraordinarily complicated situation that has gone to the New Hampshire Supreme Court twice already. And so when it comes in for it, it's going to be understanding DOT and their driveway permitting authority, Class 6 roads, what you can access off of a Class 6 road. It's complicated. And people have strong opinions. Yeah.
Do we have a motion on that?
Do we have a what?
Do we need a motion on that?
No.
to grant
No.
consent?
No, because they just
Because
didn't
we're
come.
waiting another 2 weeks, so.
All right.
All right. Does anybody have any other old business they'd like to bring up? Okay. Under new business, we have a review of the town administrator's bi-weekly report. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? All right, there being none. Move on to the veterans credits. Now, I got a question here
Okay.
on the veterans credit. Based on what's happening at the state level regarding the validity of the elections, can we legally vote on this at this time?
Yes.
We can.
Yes, and I'm basing that comment on the fact that when I talked to DRA today about signing the MS2, they said go forward with it. And the amendment that's going to be presented tomorrow to require or give the ability of a special town meeting to ratify also says that if the ratification vote fails, all actions by the Board of Selectmen to that point are valid. So, if you sign a contract tomorrow, it's still valid, even if the ratification fails.
Okay.
So it's sort of a,
Dean, do you have any comments on this whole mess?
Well, I guess I created it.
You're not alone. You're not the only.
No, I mean,
There's several.
yeah, plenty of other cities and towns that do it. If the amendment passes, it's my understanding from reading the current draft that the board would have to take a vote on whether or not to hold a special election to be held on May 23rd. The sole question at that election would be whether to ratify the vote that was taken on March 21st, that according to the Secretary of State should have been taken on March 14th. But the board has the authority to say, no, we're not going to have a special election, in which case, as far as I can tell, the results of the election, even though it was held a week later than the Secretary of State says it should have been held, are valid.
So can the board ratify this election on its own?
The amendment says that the procedure is an election.
Okay.
So, and it allows the board to set the polling hours, has to be at least 8 hours. So, I mean, we're looking at, similar to what we did before, I think it would be an extremely slow day. The only question being, do we want to ratify what we already voted on March 22nd? So, but again.
And you're not required to do that.
The board's required to take a vote either to hold the election or not, as the
Right.
amendment is currently. So you could vote no, which,
Go about your business.
yeah, and to me, that would be a sensible result. Because if you vote to hold the election, you could have the occasion of mischief and have people come in to say, no, we're gonna vote not to ratify it, in which case the same amendment says that the results as far as elections are concerned and all the warrant articles
Stay the
are,
same.
or null and void.
They're
If
null
they
and
vote
void.
Oh, I
not
thought
to-
it was only
not to
the
ratify.
elected officials became null and void and the governor would fill the vacancies.
It's not too well written, I guess, is what I would say. It does allow for the governor to appoint members to boards that have vacancies, but it doesn't really
Which of course
address the issue of.
You ordinarily wouldn't have at all.
Yeah, it doesn't address the issue of having, another election to replace those people.
Right.
So, and it's only for a very interim basis, so it's very convoluted. If it passed in the form that it had right now, I mean, my recommendation would be that the board vote not to have the election.
Does
Let the
that
results
leave
stand.
the town subject to lawsuit?
Well,
I mean, I know anybody can sue for anything. but-
exactly. I think that's the answer. I mean, one of the considerations that I made when the decision to postpone because of the weather was, looking at the warrant articles, we didn't have anything like a bond issue on there.
Right.
Which could have
controversial.
raised some issues and could have had people, concerned. We had only a few contested offices as far as the electoral part of the ballot was concerned. And we really had no close votes. I think the closest vote that we had was on the truck.
It was 30 votes, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there really weren't anything significant that would do it. We're a single district. Other towns did have to deal with the fact that their school district covered 3 separate towns, they had a cooperative school district. And so there was a question about, what one votes on the 14th and one votes later. We had none of those issues,
Yeah.
So under the circumstances.
Right. To me, the comment I've been making to legislators and also to Marge was that this electoral spat is an electoral spat.
Exactly.
What would concern me is if DRA at some point said that what we did was illegal, which would prevent us from signing our MS2, which would prevent us from sending out our mid-year tax bills, at which point in 2 weeks we're insolvent. And if we were insolvent in that particular period of time, there's an RSA 13, which simply says any town that's insolvent, you give the keys to governor and council and they run it.
Yeah.
Dennis Malloy again. So, does the town have an operating budget
Yes,
Yes.
right now?
right,
Well,
and
Because
that's,
that was a warrant article that was,
It was SB2, and so our operating budget passed. And the key here is if all of these things get invalidated, then our operating budget gets invalidated.
so everything is as we see, and it's moving along as if there is no spat.
Well, we believe we have 2 new members.
I
In our
concur.
manifest tonight, we're spending money in accordance with warrant articles.
I concur with that. I
Yeah.
just wanted to.
No, but
and that's why I checked with DRA today on the MS2, which is the report of appropriations voted. And Michelle Clark, who is our representative from DRA, said sign it.
yeah, and so that to me is the question for legislators. Do nothing that would force DRA to invalidate things to where we could not send tax bills. Because if that were to be the result, if that were to be the result, that's when we turn the keys over.
That would be problematic.
Under RSA 13, that's what would happen.
I can't,
Right.
Okay,
So,
well,
wait, so you go to the hearing tomorrow and,
Yes, Dennis, yeah, it's in the house.
Well, that's what I want them to think about. I could care less about who's right or who's wrong.
right.
That is nothing.
And we made that point to the representatives today too.
Yes.
Fix this mess, would you?
And the sense that we were getting from them is they're extremely frustrated with the mess.
Right.
And they don't want people's will to be undone either.
this is happening on the Senate side right now, though, isn't it?
And the
And the
House.
House.
Is there a House
Senate bill
now?
went to the House.
Yes,
And
On-
got amended in the House,
and it got amended in the House.
in committee.
Okay,
Committee.
because we haven't seen any, okay.
Right.
This brand new idea.
Municipal and county government, is that
I
what?
think it's only one.
Tomorrow at 11 is the House amendment going to the Senate, Senate Bill 108. And then next Tuesday, I think, is the Senate bill going to the House to ask them to clean it up and fix it.
Just remember that the chair of municipal and county, Jim Belanger,
Yeah.
is the moderator in Hollis who continued this meeting,
Yes.
okay? So he has as much skin in the game as anyone,
I was on that committee last time, I know Jim.
yes. And he's a strongly opinionated, very experienced
Yes, he
moderator.
is, he is.
But my point is, don't let the election spat overcome the money. Because frankly, what I would tell, if the Secretary of State were here, I would say, take the stupid election. We're sick and tired of doing this. None of us wants to volunteer for you one more time. Take it, okay? I don't ever want to do this again,
It's been a nightmare.
yes.
okay, so I guess it's business as usual until further notice. All right, veterans credits then.
Right, okay, so I have applications for 6 of the All Veterans Credit, which is the new credit that was adopted on March 21st. I have 6 here now. I have 2 more that come in once this agenda was posted. The deadline for receipt is April 15th. They had to have qualified as of April 1st. So I have to have, so by the next meeting there won't be any more for 2017.
Okay, all right. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the all veterans credit in the amount of $500 each for Cheryl Vermette, Michael Fitzgerald, John McDevitt, Sheila Kennedy, Samuel Audia, and Larry Stever.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Roll call?
Roll call.
Aye.
Jim Rawls, aye.
Paul Morgan, aye. Motion passed.
Okay, lots of things to sign on the back of each one of these.
Yes. We'd also note for our new members, it's really easy to lose these things and throw them in your own paper. Make sure you don't throw them back to Karen.
Yes, yeah, sometimes these get mixed into people's piles. And now we put bright stickies on them.
Yes. Count them out and count them back.
Do you want me to move forward with the elderly exemption while those are going around?
Sure.
Okay, we have an application for an elderly exemption for a resident that also qualifies based on income and assets. This is for map U9, lot 22. And we've had, with the change in the numbers that we've got approved in March, also for the elderly exemption, 2 residents who did not qualify last year have been recertified. So it met the need that we absolutely needed to do.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on that. Anybody?
We don't use the name on elderly exemptions.
I move to approve the elderly exemption for the property at map 9, lot 22.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Sanderson, yes?
Ralston, yes.
Girardi, yes. Vaughn, yes.
Huzzy, yes.
You having fun yet?
Not as many as I expected, but it was a very short turnaround and a week shorter because of the snow delay. So I think that we budgeted enough in overlay for the credits. And next year we'll just have to be prepared for more.
Okay.
How come it's a different color, Kelly?
What?
Why is it a different color?
Because some of the residents printed them off at home
Oh,
from the DRA website, filled them out and brought them in like that.
thank you.
When I run them here, I run them on green, just for my own filing system to keep the veterans separate than the elderly exemptions and it's just
Okay,
one of
MS
my
232 report.
things. All right, this is the annual report that gets sent into DRA after the conclusion of town meeting or deliberative session. It's due, or voting day actually now. It's due 20 days after the voting, and it certifies the amounts voted on from the budget and assigns the warrant articles to particular line items. So the total appropriation, including warrant articles, is $4,754,127.
Any questions from the board? All right, entertain a motion.
Move to approve the MS 232 report of appropriations after voted as prepared.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Roll
Aye.
call.
Aye, Sanderson.
Ralston, yes.
Girardi, yes?
Morgan, yes.
Huzzy, yes.
Okay, motion passes. State fuel distribution agreement.
Okay, this is a requirement that the state has because our police and fire department occasionally now purchase our gasoline at the state pumps. They are tax exempt, so we need to annually, they say annually, this is the first time they sent it to us in like 10 years.
They're on schedule.
That we need to just certify that the Town of Greenland's Police Department, Town of Greenland's Fire Department is exempt from paying gasoline tax and is authorized to purchase gasoline through the state pump.
Now, is the price of gas still so much higher than buying it on the open market?
Yep. Mhm. But this is just to keep the ability in place. We
So,
haven't been using it.
okay, our people are not going to the state to buy it and pay an extra.
No, because the local state pump closed anyway. But Chief Laurent requested that we at least keep the authorization valid.
Sure.
And then it just is signed by the chairman of the board.
What actually is the pump that they would be using if they had to?
Northampton?
Okay.
I was gonna say Northampton's closest, right?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we approve the fuel distribution agreement with New Hampshire DOT.
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
Sanderson, aye.
Ralston, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Fuzzy, aye.
Motion passes.
Yeah, and just Chairman Morgan, you sign both of those.
All righty, cemetery trustee appointment.
Okay, Paul Hayden was a cemetery trustee, with a term with 2 more years to go. At the cemetery trustee meeting last week, he resigned his position, and the cemetery trustees appointed him as sexton. The sexton cannot be a trustee. Kevin Van Etten had resigned as the sexton in January. So, and then the cemetery trustees at their meeting actually motioned to appoint Robert Elwood as a cemetery trustee for a 1-year term. They unfortunately don't have that authority to do that. That is, the Board of Selectmen appoints the replacements to the cemetery trustees. So they're now requesting that the Board of Selectmen appoint Robert Elwood as a cemetery trustee for a term to expire. The way the statute was written, it expires, it's filled for the remainder of the term, which is different than everything else, which is filled to the next election. So it would be to March 19th
Okay,
by statute.
all right.
Could we request Mr. Elwood to come in and speak with us?
Mhm.
So we'll hold that in abeyance until that happens.
I'm just thinking that it would be important to just speak to him about this. And
I
hope
agree.
that he understands and that he's comfortable with everything that we would ask.
This just came to me on Thursday that this is what they did on Wednesday night, and I'm like, no.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, let's
You
table
can't
this.
do that.
I don't want to say no, I just want to.
Right, exactly, yeah, see who he is.
If I hadn't read the minutes,
All right,
Yeah.
let's table it till next meeting and invite him to join us.
Yeah.
Town email.
right, yeah.
I actually got the problem corrected. I had to basically go in, take it out, put it back in manually, enter everything. You automatically throw a PIN number in there, which makes it very difficult when you're driving down the road to answer your phone.
Mhm. Okay, so it's all taken care of then?
It is taken care of.
Okay. 2017 wage increases.
Okay, this is based on the 2.25%. This is for the chairman. 2.25% for the police department and transfer, and then the flat amount of 108.3 to the other staff. And it begins today. They don't get paid the raise today. They start at the new rate as of today.
Okay. Any comments from anybody?
That's in accordance with the way that we presented our budget to the budget committee and to the town.
Correct.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to authorize the 2017 wage increases as shown in the memo from the town administrator dated March 20th, 2017, to be effective beginning April 3rd, 2017.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Roll call vote.
Sanderson, aye.
Ralston, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Fuzzy, aye.
Ayes have it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
May I? Marcia McLaughlin. This is a little bit, it's not applicable to your payroll, but it is applicable to the library's payroll. Does this mean that our payroll increases can go in effect?
However you budgeted them.
Pardon?
However you budgeted them.
Okay, but I know she's been operating under the assumption that she should only be using the default budget. That would not be true, correct?
Correct.
this is, I will convey that.
And I explained that
You
to
did,
her.
okay,
But I did say that our raises weren't going into effect till this week.
okay.
Because ours, the policy has been the first full pay period after the voting day. And since the voting day was delayed a week, this first full pay period starts today. Because it's just too difficult for the bookkeeper to have two rates in one payroll.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Is there any other new business that anybody would like to bring up?
I was approached by a resident today in regards to a cemetery on their property that there's supposedly a trust fund in place for. I suggested they go to the trustee of the trust funds. Perhaps that was an error. Perhaps they should go on to
The cemetery
the
trustees.
cemetery trustee.
And the list of all the different cemetery trusts are in the town report by name.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what
Caught their attention?
got their attention, yes.
Okay, when you have a cemetery on private property, it can either be private or public. And so, if it's a private cemetery, then it isn't anything we would deal with. But if it's a public cemetery on privately owned property with that trust fund, then we do maintenance on it.
Which cemetery is it?
Behind brackets.
Okay. Is it the bracket one that we,
Bertha or somebody, different last name, but it's a bracket.
okay, so it's not the one that we maintain
Not the one on Bay Ridge Road.
on Bay Ridge?
No.
Because that's a
No.
bracket one.
Right.
Okay.
She said that, Mrs. Brackett said it hadn't been touched for 5 years.
So he's looking at the abandonment.
Except where there are heirs around, we don't have to take it.
Right.
And the statute is RSA 289.
So I think they wanted somebody to come down and clean it up, because it's a trust fund that.
How many plots in there?
I don't know. I tried to,
They're all dead, don't worry about it.
Try to avoid that. They don't think they care.
They don't really care. And if they do speak.
I'll pass it along. Oh, I can't, Paul is used to be my cemetery liaison as a trustee. He's not a trustee anymore. I'll call Michelle Callback.
Yes. To see what they have in their records regarding that area.
and I forget the last name of the person, but it's Bertha somebody.
Okay.
She was originally a bracket, and there was a trust fund set up.
Okay.
Okay, Jim, you got any updates on the 300th anniversary, or what, do you know what's going on with that?
Do I know what's going on? Well, funny you should ask.
Chip didn't make the meeting.
No, neither did Juan or anybody else for that matter. Well, actually, the two people who attended were Paul Hughes and the woman who's moving out of town.
I know.
But there is a April 12th, that's from 12 to 1. There's a webinar on town anniversaries, which I'm going to attempt to watch.
Excuse me.
And if anyone else is interested, they're more than happy to.
Where is it?
It's on the web someplace.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whatever it is.
But they know this during the day, during the weekday.
Yeah.
And most
Right,
of
but
New
then-
Hampshire governments are volunteer.
Yeah, but then you
I
can
think
rewatch the
you can-
webinar after.
Yeah, you can watch it at your leisure. Anyway, I was planning on having another meeting after I put the strong arm on some people to attend. Hopefully it will get some, I was going to approach some of the people who have kids to attend, maybe to work on that aspect of having races or whatever, field day events, and try and maybe get the recreation department involved.
Okay.
That type of thing. So I haven't set a date yet because I was so heartbroken after the last one. That and the fact that I set off the alarm when I came into the building. And the police didn't know how to shut it off.
Right, and my phone is ringing at home from the security company.
Yeah. Other than that, it was an uneventful evening.
Okay, for the benefit of the new members, I'd like to take this opportunity just briefly go over some of the more pressing issues that are facing the town that we'll be having to face during the upcoming year. Number one, there's the Copley landfill issue, which is an issue, as we all know, regarding that toxic plume that's threatening some of our residents. I think it's important to know that Greenland did not contribute to that landfill. We didn't throw a cigarette butt in it. I just want everybody to know that, okay? I'm going to get together with Karen, and we're going to put together a chronological order of events that have occurred to date and hand this out to you so that you can do a little homework and you know, get up to snuff on that type of thing. So the next time the issue comes in, you'll know a little bit more about it. The second pressing thing we have is our infrastructure in terms of road repairs that must be dealt with on an ongoing basis. We had Underwood Engineering do a pavement condition assessment this past year, and I've already asked Karen if she will see to it that the new members get a copy of that, all right, so that you...
If I'm trouble sleeping at night, I can read it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, although the most important thing there is we finally have a data-driven approach to say which ones to work on. Which one is the worst, the next worst, the next worst. So it's not about who comes and yells the loudest, it's about really based on data. So it was a good thing. That came primarily from Selectman McDevitt asking us to get it done. We got it done, and it's a good tool.
A very good tool, yeah. So we'll get you a copy of that so you can do some homework on that. Would you say sleeping while you're...
Yeah.
The third thing we will have is the 9/11 road name changes and number changes. This is going to be fun.
Can't we just table that?
I have no
It's
problem.
starting again in
This
a
happens.
few weeks.
This is something that we're going to have public hearings on this. It's prudent to know that these public hearings are not held to debate whether or not these changes are going to take place. This was decided by the Board of Selectmen as a safety issue a while ago. So these changes will take place. But it's rather to have a public hearing to inform these people if they have questions about their license changes, their deed changes, and that type of thing.
It's brutal.
Hmm?
It's brutal.
Yes.
Yeah, and it can be brutal,
What
but
it's all
nonetheless.
about, what it's all about is emergency 911. Everything in town was bay this, bay that. And so when you called in, what road am I on, the fire department couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So that's why the name changes.
Right, and you're on Tide Mill, that we have 2 Tide Mills. One of them is going away.
So this is something that it's a safety issue.
I don't know which section.
This is an intersection and it's all one road.
Good luck.
Oh.
But anyway, just to let you know that when we do have these public hearings, we will have members of the 9/11 Commission here with us. We're going to have the police chief with us. We'll have the fire chief with us, and we're going to have the
Emergency
the
management.
emergency management director with us. So if they're here to answer all these questions.
I guess my biggest complaint right now is they were supposed to be starting with the Bay Roads first, because that's the biggest problem. Are they gonna continue with the Bay Roads, or are they just abandoning that and causing any discontents in other sections of the town?
You know, this is something that's kind of left to the police chief and the fire chief and the emergency management director, what order they're putting them in, I have no idea, but I'm sure if there's the...
As I said, it hasn't made sense to me on some proposals I've heard why we're actually looking at those first.
Yeah, the list that we've gotten sent over to start working on for the next batch is Falls Way.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to meet at the school, we won't fit.
And what happened in there with the naming is...
Nothing with the naming, it's all numbering.
Oh, okay.
It's all the granite posts they're gonna want changed.
Oh, yeah, that's right, they all have granite
Did they
posts.
engrave them?
Yes.
Oh, my.
That's gonna be the biggest problem, because as I said, I'd be coming to you and saying, you guys gave me the number, I put it on my granite post, pay to change it.
I have to put them all in a post in a pile, and if your number is now in that pile, help yourself.
Now, stop taking cents, because that was the next thing I was gonna bring up.
That's what I
Don't-
thought. Trade with your neighbor.
Trade the post.
Well, anyway, I just want you to know that this upcoming, and we've had some, I think we've got it down pretty well where the, argumentative sessions are,
Right, the
held
first
to
couple
a minute.
were,
Yeah. But I'm gonna get Karen to get each of you a copy of the letter that we send out,
okay.
in advance, so you can see exactly what we send out to them and.
I think I'm gonna be sick for Falls Way. That was gonna be a battle.
Oh, they all were.
Yeah, they,
Okay, and fourth but not least is, we're gonna need to, address down the road our declining number of volunteer firefighters. This is an issue we've just started to work on, but it's something that we need to face in the future. And then there are other issues that are gonna come up, the MS4, I think, is that what you call that? There's,
Well, they're all MS numbers. This was the MS2. The MS4 is the one that I'll be
No,
doing.
no, no,
stormwater.
Oh, MS4 stormwater, yes.
Yes.
New regulations take effect in 2018.
If they don't change them again.
If the EPA stays in place.
Yep.
Right.
I'll be going to a review on Friday of what the new ones are. I've already completed most of the written materials needed in the new permit, and I'll start working on the budget for 2018, because there are expenses to Greenland that we've never had before. We have to sweep all the streets. Once a year. We don't even use sand, but we have to sweep the streets. We have 27 outfalls now that we just monitor by view, that, once a year, we're out there, yet no, there's no bubbles, there's no poison coming through just by viewing. We have to do lab tests, wet water and dry season. Once a year wet, once a year, like when it's raining, go out there and take a sample. And then take a sample in dry weather. And have the lab tested it.
it's fine.
Oh, yes.
Calling Donald.
What?
I'm calling Donald.
Yeah, you and me both.
And then
You're
there's a
moving.
lot of other things that we have to do.
Right. I'd also like to offer up a suggestion regarding some issues and policies that I think we need to address in the upcoming months. One of my suggestions is that we forecast the issues in order to give the board members a chance to do some homework and thereby address these issues intelligently. What I'm saying, for example, is like, one of the things I will ask for is to review our welfare policy.
Okay.
But not at this meeting, all right? What I'd like to do is have you put a copy of our welfare policy into each person's box,
Okay,
and then just reference the RSAs, if there are any, that apply to them.
okay,
I asked Karen to give all the new members a copy of Knowing the Territory,
which I did.
which is an excellent book. I'm telling you something, I gleaned so much information from that. But this will give you a couple of weeks to study up on this issue when it comes up at the next meeting. And so, so that we can all talk intelligently on it. So I'm gonna, there's a couple of other items I'm gonna want to address, the perambulation.
Hold on, pump perambulation,
May go away.
it may go away.
Oh,
There's legislation
'Cause
that's
that
already
seems
gone
like
to
a nightmare.
crossover, and they may say, this is out of here. We need it to be out of here.
all right, because the only thing that bothered me about this is they can hold the selectmen personally responsible and fine us for it.
Yeah.
I don't want any fines. so-
Right, and I'd say 90% of the towns stopped doing them 20 years ago,
All right.
and now the law is catching up, we hope.
Okay, but, little items like this that I think that we need to address, and again, I think it's a good idea to give you a couple of weeks to study up on it, because we're not in his category where he knows all these RSAs like the back of his hand. But,
So-
He has them written.
So I understand what you want from me then, is like, I know at the next meeting, I already have a couple of things that are on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
So if I bring those to the current meeting, let you know, these are things that we're gonna be working on at the next meeting, and here's some preliminary materials.
That would help us tremendously,
Okay.
because it gives us a chance, instead of having something thrown right at us, at our faces, because we're not full.
Right, well, that's why I do the agenda on the Thursday and the packet's out by Friday
But
morning, but.
that's, on a weekend, that,
I
and
know,
people
because
don't know
sometimes they
that's
don't leave the
a
box
day and a half
until, right,
to do any studying on it. But if we have an item like that that comes up, and we know which RSA's, if there are any, that applies to them.
right, because I
then
try
we
to
can
put
do
them behind the
homework on it.
pages,
That
okay.
gives us a chance, so.
When it comes to welfare, there's a specific chapter in Knowing the Territory on that. And what we'd want to do is have enough time to, I think also, in a non-public session, go through some of the case files to see the type of things that you do.
All right, and what I can do that would still be public is I can do a summary of everything that was spent last year with synopsis.
Yes, yes. But the idea when we take a look at the program is to make sure there are guidelines adopted by the selectmen, to make sure that the necessary form letters are in place, that the necessary financial requirements are
Yeah,
placed.
notice of decisions, all that stuff,
You
yep,
see all the paperwork is in order. That's it.
yep, I'm not, it is, so that'll be good,
Yeah.
that's easy one.
But I think it's a good idea. A couple of weeks in advance, you can do a little studying on it, and you're just not blindsided by it. I don't know what to say about this or what to say about that, so. And that Knowing the Territory, I'm telling you, is a darn good book, it really is.
All right, Karen passed out some information on some of the upcoming,
The one in
Thanks.
Stratham?
yeah, the one in Stratton.
That's the new
I'd
local.
like to be signed up for that, by the
Okay,
way.
yeah, and Vaughn has already signed up.
But these guys need to,
I did.
Oh, you signed up on your own?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's great.
those are very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, do they still have the Selectmen's Institute?
mm-mm.
No, actually, that was a thing that was done through Property Liability Trust of Antioch.
Yep, and that's all
Yeah.
gone.
It's all gone.
The
All
whole
gone?
company's all gone.
Okay, that's too bad, because that was,
That was excellent.
that was a good, yeah. Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
learned
Mr.
everything I
Gardner.
needed to know about class 6 roads, but from him and running those meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was all different format, because you'll see when you do your local officials workshop, it's one day with everything.
Yeah, and then you get the newest edition of that book.
that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Right, the Selectmen's Institute they're talking about was 8 different Saturdays where they went through one issue in detail per day. So you got much more about that particular issue. And that's why it was such a good format.
Yeah, it was excellent. So anyway, that's, that's my suggestion. I think it's a good idea because it does give us all, us laymen, a chance to read up on RSA's and do a little studying, so. All right,
Vaughn, just
Go ahead.
2 more things for the new guys.
go ahead.
The right to know law, okay? Have you guys ever had any training on that at all?
No.
Have you, Chip?
Yeah,
Okay. Basically, this is the short version of it. We have public meetings. Anyone can be at our public meetings. Where we can't have a public meeting is by email. So we can never discuss about anything on substance by email.
And if I send something out, don't reply all with your response.
Right. It's a natural thing to do. It's how we'd actually behave as ordinary people, but we can't do it. Because the public has a right to see everything that we're doing. The second part, governmental records. And why it's important to have a place where all of your town-related email is. Anyone can ask to see any governmental record that includes all of your email. And so, if you have that commingled with all of the rest of your emails, all the rest of your papers, it becomes very difficult to cull it out when someone wants to see it. So that's why we give you either a town-based email, or what I did was I created my own separate Gmail, and it only goes to that one place. But it's one place. So that's the short part of the right to know law. The second part, let's assume someone complains to you about anything. The first thing that you want to do is go out there, investigate it, and then order it fixed, right? Wrong thing to do. The right thing to do is, if you get that complaint in, go out and find the facts, report it back, and then we all work on it together. Doesn't matter what it is, and we all do that. We have to. Because none of us has any power individually, but we have all of the authority together. So that's all. Anything that you want to bring up, that's fine. Just bring it up to all of us.
Understood.
Okay.
And also, if you have anything to do with whoever you're a liaison to, I'm kind of adamant on this, I like to go through the selectmen's liaison. Like, if I have an issue with the library, I go to Jim and make sure that Jim's involved with that. If I have an issue with the recreation department, I come to you. You know, and then if it's an issue that needs to come up before the board, then we can bring it before the board and discuss it. Because as Paul says, the decisions are made by the board, not by any of us individually, so. Okay? Yes,
I have one more thought to add to that. At one time, I thought I understood that, let's say, three of you any combination of the three of you happen to be talking together, seen talking together, but just by happenstance. There are some folks in the state who would come after that and say, you're having an unpublished meeting.
Right, do not
So-
talk about town business if
So-
there's three of you.
But that happens more, I think, with 3-member select boards than it does with 5, but that was my understanding.
Right, can't talk
Anytime
town
there were
business.
3, any combination,
Yes.
it's a.
you can't
right.
deliberate, that's what it is. It doesn't mean you can't socialize.
Right, you
Just
just
right,
can't
but
talk town business.
It's, right.
Now, for example, when we went into Portsmouth today, there were 2 of us. If there had been 3 of us, what Karen would have done is she would have posted that as a public meeting.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the point. Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And if you have any questions or you're in doubt, ask Karen, she'll.
I'm always here.
Okay, manifests.
Good night.
Hey, this must be this one right here, right?
Yes, yeah, where it's checked.
Hereby approve the attached manifest unpaid bills detailed as of April 6, 2017, in the amount of $161.48. I picked the easy one.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A roll call, all in favor?
Sanderson, aye.
Ralston, aye.
Dorothy, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Fuzzy, aye.
Motion passes.
I move we approve the attached manifest of unpaid bills detail as of April 6, 2017, in the amount of $489,304.22.
Noting how much to the school?
I didn't.
30,000.
Okay. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call in favor.
Sanderson, aye.
Ralston, aye.
Dorothy, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Fuzzy, aye.
Motion passes.
I move we approve the attached payroll number 07, paid date April 6, 2017, March 20th, 2017, through and including April 2nd, 2017, payroll manifest amount excluding payroll liabilities of $49,978.84.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Sanderson, aye.
Ralston, aye.
Dorothy, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Yeah, aye.
The ayes have it.
Aye,
Okay, is there any further business to come before this honorable board?
Just, the last thought I had is, any time that we are discussing something that seems to be moving too fast or you don't understand what we're talking about, make us stop and explain it. We're more than happy to do that.
Appreciate that.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At 8:45. All right.
Hey, Jim, when you get that webinar address and all that,